I'm the director of the Office of Management and Budget. Today's budget hearing begins today with the budget overview presented by County Administration. At this point, I'll turn it over to our County Administrator, Ken Wilson.
Thank you, Zach. Good afternoon. I'm Kenneth Wilson, County Administrator, and I'm pleased to present to the Board of Commissioners the 2022 recommended budget for Franklin County. Under the Commissioner's sound and prudent leadership, we present a budget that is fiscally responsible, yet resident-centered, and prepares us to address our opportunities and challenges head-on over the course of the coming year. This year's proposed budget is a reflection of the changes and the challenges presented for the Central Ohio economy and its residents by the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. If nothing else, the pandemic has shown us the importance of sound forecasting and prudent planning. As a local government, we are facing new challenges, such as the increase in inflation, slow supply chain disruptions, a tight labor market, and increased employee health care costs. But we're still in a strong financial position because we've always been so responsible in our spending and planning when times weren't as tight as they are now. The American Rescue Plan has delivered unprecedented federal relief to communities and individuals across the nation, including $350 billion in support for the public health response and economic recovery efforts by eligible state, local, territorial, and tribal governments. These recovery funds are allowed to cover costs that the county incurs from March 1st of 2021 through March 31st of 2024. These costs are required to fit into one of the following statutory categories: to respond to the COVID-19 public health emergency or its negative economic impacts. This includes addressing urgent public health needs brought to light by the pandemic, as well as supporting families, small businesses, nonprofits, and hard-hit industries. To respond to workers performing essential work during the COVID-19 public health emergency by providing premium pay. To make necessary investments in water, sewer, broadband infrastructure, and finally, for the provision of government services to the extent of the reduction in revenue due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Franklin County will receive about $256 million to be used over the coming few years. The first distribution of $128 million was received in late May of this year, with the second distribution set to be received no earlier than May of 2022. While we continue to address short-term and urgent needs of our community, we will invest in long-term strategies to emerge from this pandemic stronger and more resilient. Our community continues to grow, and in some ways is already moving past the challenges of the pandemic. We know as county leaders, however, that our community will not be successful until every one of our residents is able to share in its success. That is our challenge as we work to rebuild and recover. Our goal is to help the community return better than it was before, and our promise is to continue to service every resident every day. As you will see throughout today's budget presentation, we will be focused on investing these resources where needed most to support a robust public health response, a strong and equitable economy, safe and reliable infrastructure, and efficient government services. The county remains in a fiscally strong and sustainable position. The 2022 recommended budget includes a projected general fund ended balance of 43% of the total 2022 expenditures. This keeps the cash balance amongst the highest levels of other counties rated AAA by Moody's and Standard & Poor's. In recent years, the county has been able to maintain its general fund cash balance with the help of federal support, beginning with the CARES Act in 2020 and support provided this year from the American Rescue Plan. The county has avoided to tap into its rainy day funds. This has allowed the commissioners to preserve service levels in critical health and human services agencies, as well as to fund policy initiatives that align with our strategic priorities. The general fund revenue in the 2020 recommended budget is expected to be $537 million. The largest portion of the general fund revenue remains the sales tax, which comprises nearly 62% of general fund revenue. Sales tax collections have rebounded since the start of the pandemic. However, the actuals are likely higher than normal this year due to a shift in consumption from services to taxable goods, as well as support from the third round of economic impact payments approved by the American Rescue Plan that were distributed in March of 2021. As a result of these potential one-time effects, the 2022 recommended budget expects no growth from the $334 million in projected collections from 2021. Real estate tax collections also were strong during 2021 due to the increased evaluations from the recent triennial reappraisal, along with state reimbursements. Revenues in 2021 was 17% higher than the previous year. Estimates from the Budget Commission show an additional 2% growth in 2022 as a result of new construction, with total general fund revenue of $54 million from this source. Intergovernmental revenue includes $30 million from the coronavirus local fiscal recovery fund, as well as $30 million for reimbursement from the state public defender's office. The state biennial budget for fiscal years 2022 and 2023, House Bill 110, includes significant investments from the state of Ohio for the support of appointed counsel. Since July of this year, 100% of the costs for providing indigent defense are being reimbursed. The state public defender's office is expecting the reimbursement rate for state fiscal year 23 to be at least 95%. However, due to historical fluctuations, county agencies, of course, agreed that it would be prudent to budget 90% reimbursement rate based upon historical fluctuations. The 2022 recommended budget contains $536 million in general fund appropriations, which is 0.5 million or 0.1% more than 2021 projected expenditures. A majority of the general fund budget is related to personnel costs, with $213 million allocated for salaries and wages and $97 million for fringe benefits. During the 2022 budget process that began this spring, the Franklin County Office of Management and Budget, or OMB, assessed the budget request of every agency, office, and court within the context of the county's mandatory requirements, statutory duties, and the demand for services to account for inflationary increases and purchases that may have been delayed as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Agencies were provided with a 2.5% increase for non-personnel related categories. The estimated impact of this allowance was approximately $5 million when compared to the 2021 budget that was approved last December. In addition to budgeted expenditure categories, the 2022 recommended budget includes $15 million in contingency to meet unforeseen expenses during the year. This approaches the 3% maximum that is authorized by the Ohio Revised Code. As shown in the chart, nearly 60% or $320 million of the general fund budget is allocated to the provision of justice and public safety. More than half of that amount, $178 million, supports the operations of the Franklin County Sheriff's Office. The next largest component of the general fund budget at $99 million is for the operations of general government and economic development, which includes support of various elected offices, as well as $11.5 million in grants through the county's Department of Economic Development and Planning. Reserves and debt total $90 million, including $36 million for the payment of the county's annual debt service obligations, and $15 million in contingency, $14 million in various operating subsidies, which includes the $4.8 million for the mandated share of programs administered by the Franklin County Department of Job and Family Services. $5 million set aside for the sanitary engineer. And finally, $1.9 million for the drainage engineer in support of the county's stormwater efforts. The 2022 recommended budget for justice and public safety includes $95 million in general fund support for the operations of the courts and $39 million for criminal and civil prosecution and legal defense services. As a result of the increased state support for indigent defense, the Board of Commissioners, along with the Common Pleas Court General Division, Domestic Relations and Juvenile Division, Probate Court, Municipal Court, and the 10th District Court of Appeals, work to align the schedule of fees for appointed counsel reimbursement with the state maximum fee schedule revised by the Ohio Public Defender in September of 2021. This will be the first increase in the hourly rate and maximum fees in over 20 years. The impact of these changes is estimated at $7.6 million. The Office of Management and Budget will continue to work with the courts to ensure that there are sufficient appropriations available to cover this state mandate. The recommended budget also includes approximately $531 million to support 6 assistant prosecuting attorneys. 5 of these positions will assist in dealing with the record number of homicides in Columbus and Franklin County, and the increase in domestic violence cases and investigations into human trafficking. The remaining position will be in the civil division to deal with increased activity and the staffing of zoning hearings. Along with the amounts noted in this chart, the recommended budget includes $340,000 in support of the municipal court specialty dockets and $250,000 to support the Guardianship Services Board in 2022. We are also working with the Common Pleas Court General Division on finalizing a recommendation for a program coordinator to establish a mental health docket to promote recovery and reduce recidivism in moderate to high-risk felony offenders whose crimes are subsequently related to underlying mental health issues, as well as transitioning from house arrest electronic monitoring to global positioning system or GPS electronic monitoring. We hope to have these recommendations to you for inclusion before final approval of the budget in December. I will now pass it baton to Deputy County Administrator Joy Biggs.
Is she on here? Maybe she's on mute. I see her picture.
Okay, I will continue with the budget message, and then there must be a technical issue in connecting Deputy Administrator Joy Bibbins. I will now cover the all funds budget. While a majority of the general fund budget supports justice and public safety has been stated, the largest portion of the all funds budget is dedicated to social and human services. The total amount of the budget appropriations recommended for all county funds in 2022 is just under $2 billion, which represents a 144 million or 8% increase from 2021 projected actuals. As the largest category in the all funds budget, social and human services represent 39% of the total 2022 recommended budget. These social and human services are primarily supported by property tax levies approved by the voters. The county and its agencies continue to integrate and collaborate in approaching this work. Franklin County delivers a variety of social and human services in order to meet the needs of its residents, which are mostly supported by property tax levies as well as state and federal funds. As seen in the chart, nearly 1/3 of these expenditures, or 243 million, are for the Franklin County Board of Developmental Disabilities. The board serves over 20,000 individuals with developmental disabilities so that they can live, work, learn, and participate in the community. This includes 7,000 served in the residential support program, who receive home and community-based services such as housing, transportation, employment services that are leveraged with federal Medicaid funding. Another 205 million of these expenditures support the work of Franklin County Children's Services. The agency is projecting to conduct 21,000 intake-related assessments this year. The Franklin County Children's Services continue to improve the percentage of youth initially placed with kin. In 2017, the percentage of kinship placements has increased from 30% to 45%. Research shows that youth who need to be removed from their home due to safety concerns unify more quickly and are less likely to re-enter agency custody when they are initially placed with relatives or non-relatives with whom they have a bond or special relationship. The recommended budget includes 169 million for the Alcohol, Drug, and Mental Health, or ADAM Board. With last year's successful passage of a 5-year, 2.8 mil levy, ADAM-H will be able to maintain and enhance its system of care. Mental health and addiction crisis services capacity must be addressed to meet growing unmet needs and demand for services. ADAM-H is working with community partners to build the new Franklin County Mental Health and Crisis Addiction Center to serve as the central preferred destination in Franklin County for behavioral crisis needs. Now that the full project team is in place, groundbreaking for the crisis center is expected in the second quarter of 2022 and contemplated for completion in 2024. When completed, the center will provide a complete crisis care continuum for adults that will offer a no wrong door philosophy, ensure that anyone who arrives at the facility receives and gets connected to services. The Franklin County Office on Aging provides centralized access to programs, individualized services for older adults and caregivers so that they can preserve their independence and quality of life. These programs are supported by a levy that expires next year and is scheduled to be renewed on the November 22 ballot. The proposed budget of 48 million will support nearly 10,000 seniors enrolled in the Senior Options Program, which is the Senior Options Program provides community-based services such as home-delivered meals, homemaker services, adult daycare, emergency response systems, and respite care. Included in this budget is approximately $600,000 for the replacement of the current outdated case management system. The new system will allow the Office on Aging to strengthen its business processes and expand its use of data analysis to continually improve upon operations. In order to review the 2022 recommended budget in more detail, we will now highlight major 2021 achievements and planned 2020 initiatives of Franklin County agencies. Our first priority is to focus our efforts on serving, supporting, and uplifting all residents. As Ohio's most populous county, 1 of every 9 residents in the state of Ohio call Franklin County home. Since 2010, the county's population has grown by more than 158,000 residents, or 12%, to over 1.3 million residents. There is little indication that this trend will slow over the next decade. While Franklin County has seen population growth and increasing opportunities, not everyone in the community has benefited. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the poverty rate for all people in Franklin County was 13.5% before the pandemic. Even more distressing are the racial and other disparities. The poverty rate for African Americans is twice the county average, and almost 1 in 5 children in Franklin County are living in poverty. As the leading provider of safety net services, Franklin County agencies serve the many residents who struggle to make ends meet every day. Disrupting poverty in Franklin County requires a response from the entire Central Ohio community to bring residents out of poverty to share in the progress. Our social service agencies will continue to be challenged to meet these needs. The Rise Together Poverty Blueprint pointed out the role of racism as an underlying factor in poverty. The commissioners continue to take actions to re-envision the county's approach to racial equity as they continue on a journey to ingrain racial equity in our county's DNA. Last year, we became the first county in the state to declare racism a public health emergency. And as such, racism is a root cause resulting in disparate outcomes in health, education, employment, housing, and criminal justice. This was followed by the commissioners establishing racial equity as a core principle with a pledge to commit to creating and sustaining an organizational culture that applies equity principles both internally and externally. The Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion worked with the Racial Equity Council, comprising representatives from each county agency that falls under the Board of Commissioners appointing authority. During the year, the council has developed an equity framework for Franklin County employees and conducted a cultural climate audit with the assistance of Raising the Bar Performance Group. Through this work, Franklin County has built capacity to create a DEI strategy and strategic actions for the path ahead. The 2022 recommended budget also includes continued support for utilizing resources of the coronavirus local fiscal recovery fund to the Franklin County Public Health to support the Associate Director of Equity and Inclusion to address health disparities and advance adoption of the health and equity in all policies. The Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion will also continue to work with the purchasing department to assist county agencies with increasing opportunities in contracting and access for funding to minority businesses. Last year, the commissioners voted to establish a first of its kind family stabilization unit to provide wraparound assistance while taking a tailored approach to meet the unique needs of each family through a social determinants of health and racial equity lens. Statistically, we know that such young men are likely to experience negative effects of their contact with the criminal justice system throughout their lives. By using a holistic, multi-generational approach to assess the needs of the entire household and connect it to various social services resources, the FSU team will be able to address the root causes of some of the negative outcomes rather than simply responding to the symptoms. The unit collaborates with the courts, primarily through the Juvenile Court Truancy Intervention and Prevention Program, and other governmental and social services agencies to create an integrated network of support for families. The unit is projected to serve 220 families in the first year of the pilot and expects to serve 250 families in 2022. Work continues to stand up the Rise Together Innovation Center, a nonprofit entity established to tackle ideals to treat the causes of poverty, not just the symptoms. The center will lead advocacy for, engage local, state, and federal policymakers to address practices and policies that impact poverty. The center will collaborate with agencies and organizations to support their work in driving and executing the recommendations of the Rise Together Blueprint. Earlier this year, the Board of Trustees appointed Biennial to become the inaugural leader of the Innovation Center. Over the next few months, Executive Director Sidnar and the Board of Trustees will be reaching out and listening to the community to help inform a strategic planning process for the Innovation Center. A chief component of that process will include working collectively with partners, many of our agencies, to develop success matrix for the Blueprint's 13 goals and 120 action steps. This is amongst the most critical roles for the Innovation Center, serving as a convener for community organizations to align and amplify efforts already underway to support the Blueprint. While identifying gaps in the system, they can continue to look to fill with big ideas and innovative new programming. We look forward to working together on driving solutions for countering poverty in Franklin County. And the 2022 recommended budget allocates $2.5 million in the general fund to support these efforts in the upcoming year. The 2022 recommended budget includes funding for the continuation of Building Futures and Driving Futures, the Commissioner's premier workforce training programs, the Columbus Urban League, in partnership with the Columbus Central Ohio Building and Construction Trades Unions, offer the Building and Driving Futures pre-apprenticeship training program. Building Futures is a 12-week pre-apprenticeship program that provides participants with general construction and trade-specific training. Driving Futures is a 6-week program leading to driving certification. Participants in both programs have the opportunity to receive tutoring, mentoring, and other support services to remove barriers to successful program completion. Participants also receive soft skills training, including interpersonal skills, financial literacy, a weekly stipend while attending the program. At the end of the cohort, participants will complete an interest assessment to progress directly into an apprenticeship program. They are also connected with other supportive services offered by Franklin County to address barriers like transportation, housing, childcare, and more. To date, the commissioners have committed more than $3 million in combined TANF and general fund dollars to support this innovative partnership. By blending TANF and general fund dollars to support the program, there's greater flexibility to connect participants with the supportive services such as car repairs, childcare, and stipends to remain in the program and avoid some of the issues associated with the benefits cliff. During the last program period, 63 participants were enrolled in Building Futures and Driving Futures, with 61 meeting graduation requirements. 57 of the graduates were placed in apprenticeships or jobs, earning an average wage of $23.55 per hour or $49,000 per year. A similar program is Roads to Work, which prepares participants to pass state and national licensure exams for a commercial driver's license. Impact Community Action Agency, in partnership with Capital Transportation, offers the Roads to Work training program for unemployed and underemployed Franklin County residents or restored citizens returning to the community from incarceration. Roads to Work is a 5-week training program consisting of 1 week of soft skills training, followed by 4 weeks of CDL Pacific training. This program helps place participants in unsubsidized employment opportunities offering livable wages. These are just a few examples of programs that the commissioners are committed to funding that align with the Rise Together blueprint. In order to increase participation and opportunities of our residents during the upcoming year, the county has allocated almost $2.4 million in funding from the American Rescue Plan to build upon these successful programs.
Commissioners, the 2022 Community Partnership Grant application is available and completely open to all applicants. Nonprofit and governmental entities operating within the boundaries of Franklin County for a minimum of 3 years are eligible to apply for funding. This year's grant application focuses on program or project areas to address inequities that have become even more apparent in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. Applicants will need to demonstrate how the program or project aligns with one of the Board of Commissioners' core principles, that being job creation, strategic economic development and fiscal security, supportive health and human services, and racial equity. All applicants must demonstrate how their project supports the work of and connects to Rise Together. In addition, applicants must clearly demonstrate how county resources will be used to leverage other resources in the community, as well as how the program will be sustained financially after county support has ended. The deadline for submission is the end of November, and the county has partnered with the United Way of Central Ohio to utilize their EC Impact platform for the application process. The reviews will occur in December, and recommendations for the funding to be made to you, the commissioners, by the end of the year, so that grant agreements can be presented for approval early in the first quarter of 2022. In addition to these competitive awards, the 2022 recommended budget before you also maintains a total of $4 million in community partnerships funding for arts and cultural facilities. These dollars are managed in partnership with the Greater Columbus Arts Council to provide support to Franklin County artists, as well as arts and culture organizations to enhance the cultural image of the Greater Columbus area. The 2022 recommended budget for community partnerships also includes $5 million in COVID-19 recovery grants supported by the Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund, authorized by the American Rescue Plan. The largest of these grants is $3.5 million for the Mid-Ohio Food Collective for the second half of the county's $7 million investment in their warehouse expansion project. Through continued thought, leadership, and innovation, the Mid-Ohio Food Collective is poised to transform emergency feeding in Central Ohio. This begins with reimagining the current warehouse and ensuring sufficient cold and frozen storage that will allow us to continue providing our hungry neighbors with the nutrient-dense, perishable foods they need to grow and to thrive. In order to best meet the evolving needs of our hungry neighbors, the expanded freezer will be located as an addition to the northwest corner of the existing warehouse. This expanded capacity will increase the total number of pallet positions dedicated to frozen foods and will thus significantly increase the total number of picking locations and overall storage. Additionally, this new space will feature a cold dock that will include multiple dock doors that will be exclusively used for loading, unloading, staging, and handling perishable foods. Currently, the project team is working with the architects to finalize the project scope and design variations to ensure alignment with the project's goals and objectives and approved budget. Attached is a slide featuring the visual rendering of one of the three options that the Mid-Ohio Food Collective's internal team is reviewing. Once the project designs have been finalized, an additional update will be provided to you. Next, we'll talk about collaborative economic development. As part of the Economic Development and Planning Department's strategic plan, Franklin County's commitment to regional objectives and sustainable economic development remains unchanged. With support of the American Rescue Plan, a number of initiatives have been undertaken in 2021. A grant of $2.5 million was provided to the Workforce Development Board of Central Ohio to support training and the Women Back to Work initiative. As part of this effort, a one-day event will be held to provide women of Franklin County whose employment has been impacted by COVID-19 information on high-demand job opportunities, training and education, financial support, mental health support, and mini coaching sessions on career planning. The Workforce Development Board will also develop and implement a pilot program called Women at Work that will bring women together in 3 networking cohorts of 50 women each, with focused support to gain employment in high-demand occupations, career exploration activities, and individual career paths and plans, development of support their employment search activities. Another grant of $3 million was provided to Franklin County Stadium, Inc. to offset the negative impact due to COVID-19. The funding was used to support its operations, including the avoidance of furloughs and filling vacancies and maintaining Huntington Park due to the loss of revenue during the pandemic. Franklin County Stadium, Inc. is a nonprofit county-owned corporation organized under the laws of the state of Ohio that operates Huntington Park. And through its subsidiary, Columbus Baseball, Inc. is the holder of the franchise issued by the International League of Professional Baseball Clubs and is the owner of the Columbus Clippers. Franklin County Stadium, Inc. plays a significant role in creating tourism in Franklin County as a leading force in selling, marketing, and attracting visitors to our county. Travel and tourism will continue to be supported through the 2022 recommended budget, maintaining the $2 million general fund investment with Experience Columbus. Prior to the pandemic, the greater Columbus region welcomed 41 million visitors every year who directly spent $7 billion at area businesses. The tourism sector supports nearly 78,000 jobs in Columbus and Franklin County, which is why it is critical to maintain this investment. Other general fund investments in economic development included in this budget are the $2.5 million in annual commitment for the development agreement with the City of Columbus and Crew SC Stadium Company for the support of Confluence Village and a community sports park, and $1 million to One Columbus. One Columbus, the economic development organization for the 11-county Columbus region, has set forth a vision for the Columbus region to be the most prosperous in the United States. Working in partnership with state and local partners, One Columbus will be focused on helping existing businesses grow and compete, diversifying the economy through the attraction of new businesses while supporting newly formed high-growth enterprises. Commissioners, in an effort to expand housing opportunities, you all approved an increase in the permissive conveyance fee back in 2019, dedicated for the purpose of inducing the development of new affordable housing units throughout the county. In order to highlight these investments and ensure these dollars are dedicated to affordable housing, all permissive conveyance fee collections have been deposited in a separate fund known as the Affordable and Emergency Housing Fund. One of the new efforts supported by the conveyance fee is the Franklin County Magnet Fund. The purpose of this program is to provide gap financing for the new affordability construction of eligible affordable housing development projects seeking an allocation of the 4% low-income housing tax credits from the Ohio Housing Finance Agency. Commissioners recently approved an agreement with Homeport to provide $1.35 million for the development of 100 units of affordable senior housing at the intersection of Cleveland and Myrtle Avenues. All units will be affordable at or under 60% of area median income, with 20% of the units to be affordable to extremely low income households, which is defined as 30% of the area median income, or just over $25,000 per year. Next year, the Department of Economic Development and Planning intends to bring forth an additional 10 applications totaling nearly $12 million. These projects are expected to develop an additional 802 affordable housing units. During 2022, we will be leveraging dollars provided through the American Rescue Plan to support the construction of more affordable housing units, along with the use of the permissive conveyance fees. Revenue from the permissive conveyance fee has been resilient throughout the pandemic, supported by the strength of the Central Ohio housing market. The 2022 recommended budget before you for the Affordable and Emergency Housing Fund is $16 million for these initiatives, $16 million for these initiatives, including $5.5 million to the annual contract with the Community Shelter Board and $3.7 million with the Affordable Housing Trust. Commissioners, in addition to the support of affordable housing units, the county is working with a number of partners on the distribution of funding from the Emergency Rental Assistance Program by the Federal Department of Treasury. COVID-19 has exacerbated an affordable housing crisis that predated the pandemic, and it has exacerbated deep disparities that threaten the strength of an economic recovery that must work for everyone. To meet this need, the Emergency Rental Assistance Program makes funding available to assist households that are unable to pay rent or utilities. Two separate programs have been established: ERA-1, which provided $25 billion to state and local governments under the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021, and ERA-2, which provided an additional $21.55 billion under the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. The county received $13 million under the ERA-1 program, which must be used by September 30th of 2022. The county has worked with a number of partners to be able to obligate $11.5 million of this allocation, and will commit the remaining $1.5 million before this year's end. In the 6-month period from April to September of this year, the county has assisted over 1,000 households through this program. As a result of the demand for this assistance, especially through the PRC Emergency Rental Assistance Program at Job and Family Services, the county has requested an additional allocation of $2.5 million in unspent ERA-1 dollars. The county's allocation under the ERA-2 program is an additional $10 million. Because ERA-2 funding is available through September 30th of 2025, the county has prioritized obligating its allocation from ERA-1. As work concludes on the ERA-1 program, and as you heard, we are close, Franklin County's Department of Economic Development and Planning will work again in partnership with the Department of Job and Family Services to focus on utilizing the ERA-2 allocation in the coming months. The Board of Commissioners, Columbus Urban League, and One Columbus joined together in 2020 to form the Franklin County Business Growth and Equity Alliance. This partnership focuses on implementing economic equity and shared prosperity strategies that improve success outcomes for African American businesses, which have been diminished historically by systemic racism, and more recently, the disproportionate detrimental impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. In 2021, the Board of Commissioners provided $1 million in American Rescue Plan Act funding to the Columbus Urban League to support the renewal of the Franklin County Community Equity Fund and to continue the work of the Minority Small Business Resiliency Initiative. These investments into the Columbus Urban League and the Equity Alliance have proven critical to support and stabilize small, minority-owned businesses in the region. The Minority Small Business Resiliency Initiative has touched nearly 3,000 businesses in just 16 months. The results have been impressive. 82% of investment was distributed as COVID-19 grants to historically underserved and underconnected Black-owned businesses located in Franklin County. 100% of the grants went to Black-owned firms with less than 25 employees. And the Equity Alliance CDFI Feasibility Working Group produced a CDFI fundraising, operations, and sustainability plan to serve low and moderate income residents with small business lending. The creation of a community development financial institution will link existing community assets and develop gap-filling initiatives to strengthen the regional small business ecosystem. An additional $1 million in general fund support has been provided to the Urban League to support this emerging CDFI in making more loans available in Franklin County, and would be the only locally certified CDFI exclusively serving African American and other minority-owned firms and companies doing business here in Franklin County.
Commissioners will now turn to smart justice and community safety. The new James A. Carnes Correction Center is nearing completion on the west side of Franklin County and will be operational next year. Included in the budget for the Sheriff's Office is $8 million for the addition of 61 deputies, 8 sergeants, and 20 civilian staff to adequately support the opening of the new correction center in 2022. These positions have been identified as part of the staffing analysis for the transition and activation services as the Sheriff's Office prepares to move to a direct supervision model. Direct supervision combines 2 key elements: the physical design of a jail and an inmate management strategy. Direct supervision jails focus on actively managing inmate behavior to produce a jail that is both safe and secure for inmates, staff, and visitors. Staff interact continuously with inmates in the housing units, actively supervising them to identify problems in their early stages. They use basic management techniques to prevent negative behavior and encourage positive behavior. Staff assume control of the jail and establish a professional supervisory relationship with the inmates. There are no barriers separating staff and inmates in the housing units. The physical design of the jail supports the management of inmate behavior by reducing physical barriers that impede staff and inmate interaction by ensuring that there are clear sight lines into all areas of the housing units and by incorporating design elements, fixtures, and furnishings that promote positive behavior. In addition to the staffing for the Sheriff's Office, the 2022 recommended budget also includes $1.9 million for public facilities management to cover the operational costs for utilities and maintenance of the new correction center, along with $1.7 million to hire 36 new employees to protect and preserve this asset. In the meantime, the county operates 2 jail facilities that take in more than 20,000 individuals each year. An average stay at the jail may be several weeks, and a typical stay may be more like a few days, but the vast majority of the folks that go through the Franklin County Jail will be returning to their normal lives soon. Unfortunately, this isn't always an easy transition. And to meet those needs, the county has created the Rapid Resource Center. The Rapid Resource Center is a welcoming place near where folks are released at the Jackson Pike Jail facility. At the Rapid Resource Center, staff from the Columbus and Franklin County Public Health Departments, Primary 1, Southeast Healthcare, and the Office of Justice Policy and Programs can help the newly released inmates develop plans for transitioning back to the community. They can provide referrals and linkage to health, mental health, and addiction treatment options, as well as Narcan kit to prevent overdose deaths. They can also help clients apply for benefits, obtain a birth certificate, and connect to emergency food or shelter, or link to resources such as how to get a driver's license reinstated or where to find job readiness training or new job listings. Plans are in the works to expand, including with new transportation options, longer hours, peer support, and by opening a Rapid Resource Center at the new correction center when it opens. It is estimated that this center will serve a minimum of 500 justice-involved individuals and their family members through treatment, referral, and linkage, supportive services, and transition planning. The transition from incarceration back to the community can be a tough one, but we can help make it easier and safer with a little support. Successful transitions can reduce the incidence of overdose deaths in the months after release, as well as reducing the chances that an inmate will find themselves in the county jail again in the future. The Franklin County Office of Justice Policy and Programs, or JPP, is the lead agency in support of programs under the Commissioner's courageous and leading edge philosophy towards smarter and more equitable justice. One recent project is a partnership with the Abigail Wexner Research Institute at Nationwide Children's Hospital to provide trauma-informed counseling and care to children impacted by the incarceration of their fathers and linkages to wraparound supports for their caretakers and other household members. The children will be provided a suite of cognitive behavioral services and matched with mentors facilitated through Big Brothers Big Sisters Zamachi mentoring programs. The children's caretakers and other household members will be provided access to MyBridge Success mentoring mobility and connected with other local services and agencies relative to their needs. Delays caused by COVID-19 enabled a thorough examination of the original project goals and demanded program modifications proportionate to real and expected needs of the children and their families. We anticipate up to 150 families will receive services through this program. While the nation and our community struggled to manage the COVID-19 pandemic, another wave was building with rising rates of mental health and substance abuse disorders. In 2020, there were over 800 drug overdose deaths, which is more than 40% increase from the year before. To address this, the county has joined other local government and state leaders to be part of the One Ohio plan for the national opioid settlement. While no amount is appropriate for the loss of life or impact that opioids have had on families in Franklin County, this plan will allow for an expansion of prevention efforts, invest in treatment, and strengthen our efforts for a sustained recovery. As the details of the settlement are finalized, the 2022 recommended budget continues to make investments to address the opioid epidemic. This includes continued support of the Denial Ohio campaign by the Ohio Opioid Education Alliance through contributions to Adam H., as well as support for the peer support specialists at the Rapid Resource Center and the collaboration with the Hope Resource Center on the west side of Columbus through a sub-grant award to Justice Policy and Programs that is funded by the Overdose Data to Action Grant. This is a 3-year grant from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention that was awarded to Franklin County Public Health in 2019, which brings $3.9 million a year to our community to fight the opioid crisis and use the data to inform prevention and response efforts. This includes support for the full-time overdose investigation and intervention specialist position in the Franklin County Coroner's Office. As the number of overdose deaths has surged in recent years, so have the demands on the Coroner's Office. In recognition of this, the 2022 recommended budget includes 4 additional full-time positions: a forensic pathologist, a morgue technician, investigator, and a toxicology technician. With the addition of these positions, staffing at the Franklin County Coroner's Office will be up 63% since 2015. However, to ensure that the staffing as well as technology needs are being met, plans are underway for an operations review. The intent is for the operations review to provide a long-term plan to address the staffing and technology needs of the Coroner's Office. In 2019, the Commissioners approved the agreements and contract for the new case management system project. This multi-year project will consolidate 18 county systems and provide upgraded public access to court documents for the Clerk of Court's Office, the Court of Common Pleas General Division, Court of Common Pleas Domestic Relations and Juvenile Division, Probate Court, and the 10th District Court of Appeals. The purpose of the project is to create an integrated, secure case management system that provides reliable, efficient, and accurate results to the public and increases the residents' access to justice. The new system, which will replace the Franklin County justice system that is over 30 years old, will provide enhanced reporting capabilities, real-time data exchange with other county systems, and a more robust security model to combat cyber threats, as well as introduce cloud hosting to reduce the disaster recovery process. The 2022 recommended budget includes $4.2 million to assist in the implementation of the new case management system. During 2022, Phase 2 is set to conclude with a go-live of the new system for the Probate Court, and Phase 3 for the Court of Appeals and the Common Pleas Court General Division is set to begin. In a review of the highlights of the 2022 recommended budget, it is important to discuss some of the efforts that maintain responsive and sustainable government operations for the county's residents. Without our employees, the Commissioners would be unable to sustain their commitment to serving, supporting, and uplifting all residents of Franklin County through a lens of respect, cultural sensitivity, and human-centered care. In 2022 recommended budget, it includes a significant investment in the staffing needs for our county agencies. In addition to the new staffing mentioned earlier in this presentation, the 2022 recommended budget includes additional staff for training unit case managers at Job and Family Services, staff to assist with property transfers and reappraisals at the auditor's office, and new positions in human resources to expand the improvements being made with centralizing human resources functions by producing accurate and consistent payroll procedures across all Board of Commissioner agencies. Despite these additions, the trend line shows the number of full-time equivalent positions, or FTEs, has been on the decline over the last decade. The number of FTEs in the 2022 recommended budget is 4% less than the number from 2010, declining by about 250 full-time positions.
Thank you, Deputy Administrator Long. Commissioners, we will now discuss employee engagement measures contained within the 2022 recommended budget. Franklin County's success depends upon our ability to attract and retain qualified and committed individuals. This has especially been true during the COVID-19 pandemic. Our employees have been on the front lines every day since the beginning of this crisis, providing excellent service to the residents of Franklin County. To recognize these efforts, the 2022 recommended budget includes a proposal to provide up to $1,500 in premium pay in the upcoming year to employees making less than $35 per hour. This proposal would be funded through the Coronavirus Local Fiscal Relief Fund authorized by the American Rescue Plan. Also supported by the American Rescue Plan is a vaccine incentive program that would provide a $1,000 incentive for eligible county employees to receive their COVID-19 vaccination. The purpose of this program is to decrease the number of unvaccinated employees or motivate employees to get vaccinated sooner than they would otherwise have, with a goal to increase the percent of the vaccinated employee population by at least 10%. The commissioners remain committed to pay equity through the Columbus Commitment, an initiative of the Columbus Women's Commission that calls on employers to take action to promote gender and race-based pay equity. County administration is committed to periodically reviewing our pay structure to ensure that we are operating in a fair and equitable manner. In addition to this internal review, the county will be conducting a classification and compensation review for non-bargaining employees in the upcoming year. This study will include other elected office officials and the courts as we look to align pay structures countywide to assist with the retention in this challenging environment. The goal is to have the study completed by mid-year, and dollars are set aside in contingency to begin implementation in 2022. As we await the results of the study, the 2022 recommended budget includes a reserve within the general fund for non-bargaining pay increases. This reserve includes two components. The first is an amount equivalent to 2/3% of the budgeted payroll for non-bargaining employees, in line with the annual increases in bargaining unit agreements authorized by the Board of Commissioners. And the second component is 1.5% of budgeted payroll in order for appointed authorities to deal with issues of wage compression and/or merit increases. The Franklin County Health Improvement Program continues to be one of the best healthcare programs in Central Ohio, and employees and their families should be applauded for their efforts. It's also exciting to see the active participation of our members in a variety of wellness activities, such as preventive health screenings, the Thrive On virtual 5K walk and run, and Weight Watchers Reimagined. After no increases in healthcare costs for the previous 2 years, the 2022 recommended budget includes a 7% increase as a result of increases in the national trend. The county is below the national trend, with medical inflation running at 8%. In order to improve health and wellness programs, the 2022 recommended budget includes an additional position to analyze health and employee benefits data to improve the benefits offered to Franklin County employees. Other benefits that will be part of the compensation package for 2022 is continued participation in the CODA Downtown CPAS program, which provides a code of transit pass for each employee as a general benefit at the county. Employees are also encouraged to participate in professional development opportunities, such as training programs within the Human Services Department, Office of Learning and Staff Development, tuition reimbursement for continuing undergraduate and graduate education, emerging leaders programs, the John Glenn College of Public Affairs Management Advancement for Public Services seminars at The Ohio State University, and the National Association of Counties High Performance Leadership Academy. In closing, the budget we present today places Franklin County on a path to ensuring that every resident's needs are met on a fundamental social, wellness, and economic and environmental levels. As a result of the Board of Commissioners' visions and actions, the 2022 recommended budget maintains the county's strong financial position while providing innovative programming to enable all residents to share in the progress and growth of our community. As highlighted in today's discussion, we cannot achieve success without collaboration with the other governments, nonprofits, the faith community, and businesses to address poverty, increase access to affordable housing, implement small justice initiatives, and ensure an inclusive economy. We appreciate the many partners who offer their time and talents to collectively address our challenges and identify the opportunities to make our community even better. You are a part of the reason thousands of new residents choose to call Franklin County home each year. Budget hearings have been scheduled so that an open public discussion may take place concerning the 2022 budget. County administration looks forward to working with the Board of Commissioners as it deliberates and takes actions to finalize the budget. I would like to thank all of the elected county officials, agency directors for their cooperation and commitment to the residents of Franklin County. Special acknowledgement goes out to Zach Telerik and his team in the Office of Management and Budget for their assistance in developing the 2022 budget recommendations. I can't conclude this address without sharing my appreciation for the work and the dedication of Deputy Administrators Eric Janis, Chris Long, and Joy Bivens. Finally, the first responsibility of a leader is to define reality. The last is to say thank you. In between, the leader is a servant. With these words from Max Dupree, I would like to thank the Board of Commissioners for your continued support and leadership in serving every resident every day. Thank you. We will now be available for any questions, members of county administration.
Thank you, Administrator Wilson, and Deputy Administrator Long and Janice and Bivens. And so since Deputy Administrator Bivens was having some technical difficulty and she has joined us, I know you tried to cover her part, Administrator Wilson, but want to circle back to DA Bivens to give her a chance to add any comments or information she thinks is applicable.
Thank you, Commissioner Crawley, and I apologize. I was operating off of my iPad and I pressed and grabbed my laptop, so I apologize. And I was speaking, and once the administrator started, I didn't want to interrupt him, so and he did a wonderful job. One of the things I just wanted to say was, since we are meeting, since the HHS teams are presenting on Thursday, we're going to outline to you what the programming and what the initiatives are that align with the social terms of health that we feel impact our residents in Franklin County. So throughout those testimonies, you're going to hear a lot about the human services value curve, social terms of health, as well as social justice impacts with our data. And then what some of our directors feel that they need going forward to be successful in 2022. But I do appreciate the time that you allowed me to speak, and thank you.
I do have one question, and I see my colleague Commissioner O'Grady has popped on, popped his video on, and so I will turn it over to him in a second. I just needed a clarification, Deputy Administrator Long, on the slide that had the FTEs. I wasn't clear on what the dotted line was versus the solid lines. If you could, I don't know who's controlling the slides, but if you could just provide some clarifying information so I could understand the delineation between the,
Thank you, Commissioner. And I actually will defer to Zach Telerik, who I believe put that slide together to get into the more granularity of the question. Zach, are you able to respond directly to Commissioner Crawley?
Yes, I am, Commissioner. So the solid line represents the actual FTEs that were approved in the budgets from 2010 through 2022. The dotted line reflects the trend line, kind of the best fit for those data points, showing that since 2010, we are down about 250 full-time equivalent positions.
okay, thank you.
Commissioner O'Grady, do
Yeah.
you have any follow-up questions?
So, no, I don't have any follow-up questions, just comments. One, that graph shows that, here we are, in my estimation, in our estimation, one of the, if we're, I believe that we are, best run county, certainly the best run county in the state of Ohio, one of the best run counties in the country, operating, over the last decade or now more than a decade with fewer employees, a couple hundred fewer employees today than we operated more than a decade ago, and doing so as one of the best run counties in the United States. And so just another example of what the residents of Franklin County have to be proud of, getting the service and the professionalism that they get out of their county government. No, I don't have any questions. I just wanted to once again be able to applaud the work of the employees of Franklin County, employees of the Office of Management and Budget in particular, but also the employees of Franklin County for the fantastic work that they do on behalf of the residents of this community, and the work that you guys have done as administrators, putting together this budget presentation, putting together this budget. Franklin County has grown over the 13 plus years that I've been a county commissioner, and the budget has grown. I'm shocked every year when I see the size of our budget. I remember the size of the budget when I first became a county commissioner. I'm shocked every year when I see the size of the dollars that we are talking about, both in our general fund budget and our all funds budget. And so, but our community continues to grow, and the services that we provide continue to grow. And I'm proud of our team. I'm proud of what, Franklin County is able to accomplish. I'm proud of the reputation that we have across the state of Ohio, and the reputation that we have across the United States. The work that we do, the work that all of us do, is recognized. It's recognized amongst our colleagues in the counties across the state of Ohio, and it's recognized amongst our colleagues across the country. And the financial management that Franklin County has is second to none. And so once again, I'm very proud. I oftentimes say it's very difficult to make the three county commissioners look good sometimes, but the Office of Budget and Management and County Administration does a very good job of that. And so now that we've included Commissioner Crowley, it's a little bit easier to make the three of us look good, but it's sometimes hard to make me look good. So, but thank you guys for all the hard work that you're doing, and that you do on behalf of the residents of Franklin County every day. You make us proud.
Yeah, I would just add, since to Commissioner O'Grady's point, since I came to the county 3.5 months ago, or however long it's been, the staff, especially the administrators, have been so welcoming. And I just want to give a special shout out to Director Taleric, who just turned his video off as I was giving him a shout out. But that's okay. I got him back for, shouting me out earlier when I was like stuffing my face for lunch.
I didn't want to blush, Commissioner.
But I just want to say, Zach has been wonderful working with my office, trying to help us understand the county government from a financial perspective. It is a lot, and obviously different from the state, but he has been patient with us. He has been kind and always available. And so I just want to say thank you to, for taking time, like every week now, I think, working with my team to really understand the functions of county government from a financial perspective. So I wanted to say that in front of everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner.
We can't do the work without having a great Office of Management and Budget. I work closely with all the agencies, but the Office of Management and Budget is extremely important, and it impacts everything that we do each day across what is now has crossed the $2 billion threshold when we round. Franklin County has grew to a $2 billion enterprise as we go into calendar year 2022. So I know you need good lawyers and you need good budget people. They are key to getting things done. And Mr. Taleric and his team does a solid job. So when I say special acknowledgement goes to them each and every day as we serve residents, I mean it, because as county administrator and formerly holding that job, I understand just how important it is and the dedication and the focus it takes to do the work of the Office of Management and Budget. So I know every member of county administration would echo my thoughts as it relates to working with OMB during the process. And keeping everybody fiscally sound and disciplined and thinking long term. To get through tough times and good times, it takes fiscal discipline, and you have to have sound financial forecasts and capital forecasts to get that done. Because running a county that's now the largest county in the state, you can't have a sprinter's mentality. You have to have a marathon runner's mentality to truly be successful. And I appreciate the leadership and the support that I as county administrator receive from you all as commissioners. And it makes doing this work a lot more rewarding to know you have that confidence of the commissioners that you're working with each day. So now, Mr. Taleric, I think that would conclude our overview, and we will now we have the Board of Developmental Disabilities up next. I don't know if you have a break built in. I will turn the floor back over to you.
Yes, Ken, we do have a bit of a break scheduled. Commissioners, we do have this 15-minute break scheduled, but I believe I see Jen Morrison and Dot Yeager are both on. If you'd rather take a shorter break, we can do that. I'll leave it to your discretion.